first phase of YouGov News, these allegations by YouTube channels over the BK and AIVV's triple message were proved false through scriptural evidence. We shall see the scriptural proofs on this allegation now. In the Gita, Yogavid, the knower of yoga, is Shiva. He is Atmavid, Ayugma Netra of Atmavidya, meaning the lone knower of self, the ever unborn spirit, the knower, leader, guide of spiritual knowledge. Yahweh Shiva at BK and AIVV is asking all married and unmarried followers to practice celibacy, that is, to abstain from the thought and deed of all physical relationships. Then the question that arises is, why is Shiva worshipped in the form of linga, a union of intimate physical relationship? Hindus assume that Shivalinga they worship is a symbol of fertility, holy act of procreation. In fact, such phallic artifacts are similarly revered in all world cultures. Then why do the married couples abstain from the thought and act of physical union on the day of Shivaratri, a Shiva festival, while visiting temples and pilgrimages on all holy days and months? And why is this act called Kama Vikara, vice of lust, the most sinful of the five vices: lust, anger, attachment, greed, ego, said to be the destroyer of the soul, meaning mind and intellect in the Gita? Isn't there a complete contradiction between what is said in the Gita and the common assumption about Shivalinga? Shiva says that until he comes and utters spiritual knowledge through Lekhraj Kriplani, Krishna Chandra, and elaborates the documented wisdom through Agni, Arjuna, Virendra Dev Dikshit, none know the real meaning of Shivalinga with Nandi, the bull calf. Shiva says, among the human written scriptures, Gita alone has clear verses about Shivalinga. Shiva says, Arjuna, the bodily chariot, the bodily mark or linga in which I self manifest is Prakriti, meaning my magnificent creation. In my intellectual direction, Arjuna pacifies his bodily organs through celibacy, thus praised as Shamakara, the pacifier, Parantapa, Jitendriya, the conqueror of senses, is the one praised as Shiva Linga. In this verse, Matra Sparshaha means material contacts, concurrence of material elements. Bhagavan explains that the first matter is Deha, meaning body, in which the invisible, non material self, the soul, dwells and perceives pleasures and sorrows through other bodily or material contacts, thus called Dehi. Deha or body has 10 sense organs, the 10 material contacts called Indriya. In addition to the 5 organs of perception, eyes, ears, nose, tongue, skin, there are 5 organs of action: larynx, hand, foot, anus, and parts of generation. Any karma or action performed through the material indriyas is called vikarma or vikara, vices, said to be sinful enemies of us, the immaterial self or the soul, in all religious scriptures. Abrahamic scriptures mention the sinful material contacts or vices as flesh is evil. The etymology of the word vice means moral fault, wickedness, sin, failing, irregularity, misdemeanor, defect, offense, blemish, imperfection in both physical and moral senses. Its Sanskrit word vikara or vikri means to give a different shape to anything, change, convert, to cause anyone to change his state or opinions for the worse, to act in a hostile or unfriendly way towards others. Thus, the vices or vikaras, lust, anger, greed, attachment, ego, are disease, sickness, unnatural, imperfect, deformations affected by rajoguna, passion, and tamoguna, feelings of disgust or aversion owing to changed state of opinions introduced by the seven Maharshis, the seven hills, a depiction of all round material minded night or hell, the Asura Loka. Whereas the Nirvikari, meaning the viceless world of divine attributes, is the natural, original, perfect abode established by the ever viceless Shiva Yahva by creating Arjuna as viceless Shivalinga in his own image. As said in this verse, Shiva, the Kshetrajna, meaning the knower of his bodily field, the Kshetra, his unipresent bodily mark, Linga, in which he self manifests, thus called Shiv Baba, experiences all sense perceptions, yet remains detached of bodily desires, called Nirguna, Nirvikari, the ever viceless. Shiv Baba, the self manifested Shiva himself, guides and leads Arjuna's soul to practice becoming detached of sense desires while performing actions with his sense organs. A Nirvikari, Viguna, viceless. This is the most confidential Raja Yoga, Raja Vidya, the spiritual knowledge Shiva reveals to his linga, the bodily mark, Arjuna alone. In this verse, Bhagavan says to Arjuna, the objects of sense, of the sense organs, certainly change again and again. They are the givers of cold and heat, happiness and sorrow. They come and go, and they are temporary. Tolerate them without any stratagem of yours. Bhagavan addresses Arjuna, Purusha Rishabha, meaning the most elevated among the Purushas, an adjective suggesting the ever viceless Purushottama. Bhagavan knows that Arjuna becomes in his own image, says, the one who stays neutral, uniform in sorrow and happiness, the man with patience who isn't distressed by any of these sensual pleasures, even while performing actions, engages his buddhi, meaning intellect, on the one buddhi, certainly becomes worthy of attaining immortality, the heavenly happiness devoid of sense pleasures. This verse mentions that buddhi, meaning opinion or intellectual wisdom, one should engage with is one, and that there are numerous false wisdom branches at this peak of unrighteous iron age that are not to be engaged with. In this verse, Bhagavan says to Arjuna that you should perform actions detaching from the fruit of the action while being in yoga, meaning in union with me, the yoga with Shiva, the one wisdom. And Bhagavan says, O Arjuna, the winner of wealth of knowledge, to just perform actions without engaging your intellect in the one greatest Shiva is extremely inferior, because the knowledgeable ones who engage their intellect with Shiva, the one wisdom, are especially liberated from the bondages of birth while having given up the fruits produced as a result of the actions performed. They attain the sinless supreme position of the abode of super sensuous intellectual joy. The word buddhi means water jar, the intellectual jar that issues out flowing spring of waters of wisdom for the soul to bathe in and cleanse. Thus, Arjuna, Virendradev Dikshit, the bodily mark, water jar, or linga of Shiva, has become nirvikara, viceless, while performing actions with his tongue, ear, eyes, nose, skin, and the five organs of actions, including the most difficult to conquer organ of lust, thus praised as Shivalinga, the Amogha Virya, Achyuta, in the Gita. The words Amoghavirya and Achyuta mean the unerring, efficacious, reaching the mark, not failing or not falling, called Amrita, immortal, meaning the one who is detached of pleasure of the sense organs even while in act, is the name of only two, Shiva, and the one who becomes in Shiva's image, the Lord of immortal deities, Vishnu, the best Purusha, same as said in the Rig Veda. He is praised as the perfected Adam, the only one to be revered or prostrated in Abrahamic scriptures. The question that arises is why Shiva creates Arjuna Virendradev Dikshit alone as Amogha Virya in his own image? It is because Arjuna Virendradev Dikshit, Adam, alone is Sat, true soul among the 8 billion population. Truth is defined as there isn't the existence of falsity and there isn't non existence of truth. Arjuna is the seed soul, Mahadeva, the ever existing bodily being, the father of the human family tree and the lord of the righteous deity religion existing throughout the time cycle. His religion comes to be known as Hindu religion during the time of ignorance. Whereas the non ever existing 7 material opinions exist only during the hellish night, thus are false. Arjuna's last birth's body, named Virendradev Dikshit, is the Kala, measure of time of their end. This last bodily birth indicates Kalajnanan Shiva to arrive to transform the vicious Arjuna as viceless, virtuous Lord of the new heaven again. This verse mentions just like there is infancy plus childhood, adolescence, and old age with the qualities Sat, Raj, Tama, meaning true passion, darkness, one after the other of the soul in this body, in the same way we attain other bodies with reduced power and strength in the 4 ages. Adam Arjuna Virendradev Dikshit has conquered his bodily sense organs while being in this old, deteriorated, iron aged last birth's body and became Anagha, a sinless soul, attained sattva, true, spiritually enlightened, pure, perfect, infant like soul that can no longer cling to this body. Thus, as said in Shiva's new Atmavidya, has taken rebirth and will appear like this, a picture drawn as guided by Shiva in 1961 at BK. A form filled with light of wisdom in the image of Shiva to appear by 2027-28. The near perfect prophecy of the same is mentioned in the 1595 Lignum Vitae of Vatican. Final part of the prophecies predicts the apocalypse, the end of 112 popes beginning 1143 ending in 2027. The prophecy concludes with a pope identified as Peter the Roman, whose pontificate will allegedly precede the destruction of Rome, the city or the world of 7 hills, with his last judgment. Shiva says that my creation Adam, Arjuna, is praised by many names in world scriptures. As said in this verse, Peter the Roman, the one to appear by 2027-28, is Virendradev Dikshit, the Purusha Rishabha, the viceless, perfected Adam, Shivalinga, ends the divided rule of Abraham's Judaism, Buddha's Buddhism, Jesus Christ's Christianity, Shankaracharya's Sannyasa, Muhammad's Muslim, Guru Nanak's Sikhism, and Dayananda Saraswati's Arya Samaj. The 7, the material minded indulging in the power of bodily vices, the 7 Maharshis, Rome, to establish the viceless Ayodhya, the eternal deity religion of cow or sheep-like ancestral deity souls by 2036-37. This is the last event in the ever-repeating 5,000-year world drama cycle. Coming to this soul shown as crescent moon, Krishna Chandra, Soma, Hanuman, Ganesh, Brahma, or the bull calf Nandi, Lekhraj Kripalani, also conquers over his vices through Arjuna's bodily mark, Linga chariot. This is mentioned in the book 9 of Rigveda as Soma Pavamana, meaning purification of Som, and the oldest Shivalinga temple is thus meaningfully called as Somanatha, meaning the master, lord, or controller of Soma. The same is the meaning of this Abrahamic verse with its perfect depiction in this picture too, in line with this one. Let's revisit the ancient pictures we saw in phase 1 of the Yugognews. One may see that in the heaven, the spiritually enlightened world, people are in the first stage of their soul, a sattva, childlike, pure minds, depicted as winged heads, in constant supersensuous joy, or as fragrant flowers, devoid of bad odor of bodily vices, called Swadharma, meaning the spiritual righteousness in the Gita. Whereas the seven Maharshis, who are slave to the pleasures of material contacts, the vices, called the sorrowful, unrighteous materialism, Paradharma, in the Gita, are shown as seven mountains, females, or as animals, dragons, snakes, with poisons of vices. The summary is that the soul that has conquered over its bodily desires is praised as Purusha in the Gita. The best of the Purushas, Purusha Rishabha, Arjuna, Adam, is praised in all scriptures and is worshipped as Shivalinga, and his sheep or cow-like viceless deity Purusha souls are worshipped as Shaligrama. Such phallic artifacts are found in all cultures. We conclude with the final message that it is the right and duty of all of us souls to learn righteousness through Shiva's 7-day creation course at AIVV, which is also praised in Abrahamic scriptures as the large-scale educational work on righteousness. Please obtain information of the AIVV center nearest to your residence by contacting these numbers. Media sources are requested to realize the supreme task happening at AIVV and help communicate to the whole world.